Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Armstrong.
Don't curse, speak English.
Armstrong.
Virtuous society.
Armstrong.
I dare you to listen.
Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong. Get on the right side. Armstrong.
Elevate your mind.
Armstrong.
I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Armstrong.
Yo, man, it's your boy K.O. And you're tuned into the most conservative of our brothers.
Armstrong.
The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up.
Hello, everybody. Whoa. Let me turn this. This baby is popping. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Horace Cooper, how are you today? Horace is not on the line yet? Oh, he'll call in. We just booked him. How you doing, Jamal? What's happening? What's going on, WGCV family? Somebody said, what's up? Didn't know I could say, what's up? Oh, wow. This is at a day filled with laughter. Laughter, just a day I found myself laughing a lot. You ever had days like those or just laughter? Tomorrow, the sequester takes effect. Congressman Meeks will be calling in later on in the show. Horace Cooper, we're waiting on his call to talk about the Supreme Court and the Voting Rights Act. Waiting on Horace to give us an update. And, boy, lots going on in the world, right? Too much? The more things change, the more they remain the same, right? Well, things are changing in the United States. Change is good. You cannot take it for granted that what supported you 4 years ago is going to support you today. Life changes, man. We've got to change with the times. And we have to realize that the government cannot do the things that she once was capable of doing. Can't do it. No can do. There was a song, No Can Do. Yes. I'm Armstrong Williams. I appreciate you joining us for this edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Yes, we're live on WGC 620 AM, and we're live at our Washington, D.C. studios on a beautiful day. I mean, we've had 2 sunny days at Nation's capital. What is it about the weather that puts us in such a good mood and good spirits? You know, I think for me, the worst day of your life is when you cannot laugh at something. I really do. Horace, let me know. Horace is not on yet. That's unusual that Horace is not joining the conversation yet. Oh, Jamal, Mr. Professional as he is, said he would let me know. So be calm, Mr. Right Side. Chill out, relax, patience. You know, as much as I write about those things, sometimes I need to be reminded of them also. You know, it's always easy for us to dispense wisdom and common sense, but sometimes it's a different bar for us to adhere to it ourselves. And so Jamal just reminded me to just like, yes, I needed that. So I think the sequester is blown way out of proportion. I don't think it's as devastating as many are trying to use scare tactics to lead us to believe that it is. And I think we will survive. We are a resilient people. Yes, we are. We are a resilient people. We have survived some of the worst of times, and it's always easy to survive the best of times. And if I were to put my money on the horse, I would place my money on the stable called the American people. That's my horse. That's the horse I want to ride on. Are we the people? You know, if I ever get into horse racing, I'm going to name my horse We the People. Oh, yes. Yes, that thoroughbred. That's the thoroughbred I want to ride. We the people, because that's where my faith lies. I still believe in the people. You know, well, this laboratory or radio or whatever. Horace Cooper, how are you, brother?
Good. I'm in San Francisco, actually, but always looking forward to coming on your program whenever I can.
Wait a minute. Do they know you're in San Francisco?
I'm at the airport now. I'm about to leave.
I just want to make sure that you're safe. Do you need additional security?
Maybe some help getting through the security line would have been fine.
Well, let me know, because I know you're in some kind of territory. Horace, talk about the Supreme Court, Scalia, the Voting Rights Act, why it looks like at least both sections will be voted down. What's the implication for the civil rights community and the achievements of that movement?
Okay. As you know, and your audience should be knowing that this week, the Supreme Court, that was yesterday, considered a challenge to the Voting Rights Act case involving Shelby County. And the court is being asked to take a look at how the federal government and its Department of Justice, headed by Eric Holder, handle voter right infractions. Right now, their policy has been to go after about 16 states and say to those 16 states, please submit in advance your plan anytime you want to make any changes to your law. I'll just give a quick example. Let's say in your state, your city is considered a town if it's 40,000, a village if it's 15,000, and a city if it's 50,000. When you reach those given statuses, you may decide you need a mayor. You may decide you need a mayor and a sheriff. You may decide you need a full city council. Well, according to the Department of Justice, it's not your business when your city grows up to decide who those people are. It's the Department of Justice's job to decide who those people are, because they're going to make sure that the right number of black city council members are there, the right number of Latino city council members are there, or whatever special group that they are protecting. Now, people who fought in civil rights understand that the law was intended to stop people from preventing you from going to vote. Not saying black people only want black representatives. Latinos only want Latino representatives. Women only want women representatives. But saying whether you're black, Latino, brown, or white, whatever your characteristic is, you absolutely have the right to vote if you're an American citizen. The Justice Department has gotten far away from that. So the question becomes, under what authority does the Department of Justice have to be able to say to a state, not only are we not going to check and see, we're no longer interested in that whole voter intimidation stuff, we're going beyond that. We're advancing. We want to make sure your legislature is properly represented. You don't have an at-large system versus a district-wide system. We want to make sure that you don't even have nonpartisan elections. In one particular case, the Department of Justice told a community, you can't have nonpartisan. The mayor or whoever this person is going to be is either going to be a Republican or a Democrat. When asked why, the Department of Justice said, well, black people don't know who to vote for unless there's a Democrat by their name. Now, in my opinion, that is condescending. That is contrary to the intention of the Voting Rights Act. That's contrary to the intentions of Martin Luther King. We are supposed to be judged by the content of our character, not by the color of our skin. If you're going to have a law that says we're going to guarantee X many mayors are black or X many city council members are Latino, you're going to have to figure out a way to get a constitutional amendment to do that. You can't use the Voting Rights Act as a way to do that. Unfortunately, that's exactly what Eric Holder and this Department of Justice have been doing. And that runs afoul of the Constitution. The 16 states and subsidiaries have to get approval. But Chicago, Illinois, no approval needed. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, no approval needed. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, no approval needed. And why do I list these three? Because they are places where there have been systematic evidence of voter fraud, of voter intimidation, of voter violation, and no action on the Department of Justice's part. Only going to other communities that don't have these kinds of evidence and telling them, you need more Democrats elected, you need more blacks in this position, you need more Latinos in that position. That's contrary to the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment and the Founders' intent.
You know, it's interesting listening to Horace, and what he does best is dispense factual information. You know, yesterday President Obama unveiled his statue of Rosa Parks at the U.S. Capitol, and then right across the street from him, the Supreme Court considered overturning the key on what they consider to be an achievement of the Civil Rights Movement, the 1965 Voting Rights Act, which was signed by Lyndon Johnson. The law requires several states and counties with a history of racial discrimination to clear election-related changes with the federal government. Now, while the Supreme Court's 4 liberal justices appeared willing to back the Voting Rights Act, conservative justices were much more critical. Justice Scalia described the law as a perpetuation of racial entitlement. He felt that we're joined by this gentleman who was there. His name was Ari Berman, who covered it here and reported extensively on the battle. You know, the thing is that, you know, they're going to try to make this as if the Supreme Court is against voting rights, and that is far from the truth. The bottom line is that some of these statutes do exactly and pollute the situation and create their own discrimination and biases, which we're going to talk about a little more when we come back with Horace. Don't forget, coming up later on this show, Congressman Gregory Meeks. Don't go away.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams. Just like the Affordable Care Act seeks to ensure people with public or private coverage can find high-quality health care, AAA911health.com offers consumers you with access to better information, quality care, and big-time savings on your health care. Yes, big time. AAA911health.com offers a 90-day money-back guarantee. That's right. If AAA911health.com haven't saved you money, guess what? They will pay you back in full your membership with no questions asked. Just tell them Armstrong Williams sent you to AAA911health.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams. What does it mean to be conservative? Freedom of speech, freedom of free enterprise, freedom of assembly, less government, less taxes. As a matter of fact, a flat tax. Everyone should pay proportional tax. It doesn't matter whether you make $100 million or $10,000. Everyone should pay their 10%. Everyone should have something at stake in this American economy. I'm Armstrong Williams, expressing what we mean by conservative traditional values.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the broadcast. Horace, I just wanted you to make the point before we go to Congressman Meeks that the Supreme Court is not anti-Voting Rights Act. As you know, that's going to be the spin.
Yeah, this has been a difficulty actually in a lot of this debate. Progressives have wanted to say that anything that the Eric Holder Justice Department does is good for blacks, and anything anyone does to criticize it is anti-black. And now this case comes before the Supreme Court, and critics are saying some of the same things. We see a split on the Supreme Court. The progressive justices say that even though these changes that have been undertaken by the Department of Justice weren't explicitly listed as activities for the Justice Department to do, they're going to defer to them because they think the Justice Department has the interests of Americans best understood. On the other hand, are the conservatives who say, well, wait a second, we've got to adhere to the law. We've got to understand what the rules actually were. The Voting Rights Act still today authorizes the Department of Justice to actually investigate voter intimidation. Instances where people are threatened, instances where people are impersonated. We had a big case in Richmond where several hundred ballots were solicited illegally from prisoners so that they could influence the outcome of the local election. That has the effect of disenfranchising actual American citizens. Now, in a study we did at the National Center, we revealed that the most likely victim of people who engage in voter fraud are blacks, minorities, and the elderly. It's much easier to take from those groups that are already disenfranchised in some senses economically, and so those groups are often targeted. We asked the Department of Justice to pursue that, but instead of that, they're busy with their other agenda, and it is that other agenda that has got them in trouble. If the Section 5 is overturned, if it's found unconstitutional, it's not because agitators got in the way. It's because the Department of Justice stepped off the course of doing the things that they should have been focused on and started pursuing other new novelties. If, and I don't believe this is going to be a setback to civil rights, but if the landmark legislation is somehow impacted, it's not any conservative's fault. It's not any particular ideological view's fault other than those in the Department of Justice and, say, groups like NAACP that have tried to get a very expansive reading of what constitutes discrimination. Here's the fact. Making people who discriminate and who are bigots pay is hard work. You got to hire investigators. You got to actually scrutinize the evidence. You got to build your case. It's hard work. It's a lot easier to simply go in and say, I can feel it in my heart. I know there's discrimination here, but I'm not going to do any of that. I'm simply going to mandate you have 2 new black city council members, and now I'm going to leave and I'm going to go to the next jurisdiction and we'll talk to them. That's not what the Voting Rights Act was about. That's not justice, and that's what got the Department of Justice in trouble.
Man, I cannot thank you enough for joining us on such short notice. How can people get more information on you, Horace?
Sure. Check us out at nationalcenter.org. You can see a copy of the amicus brief that we filed in this case, urging the Supreme Court to strike down the Department of Justice's actions. And you'll see other white papers that we've written on the same topic. And I always want to remind your listeners, deductions to the National Center for Public Policy Research are tax deductible.
And I encourage them to give. I encourage them to give. Horace, always thank you for your availability for our show. Much appreciation.
Thank you, Armstrong. Right. It's a pleasure to come on.
Our pleasure. Coming up next, Congressman Gregory Meeks. You know, actually, I would have stayed a little longer with Horace, but it just seems like the caller, wherever he was calling from, like he was in a tunnel, and I'm always conscious of the quality of the show because I don't want to make it so difficult on your ears that you just want to turn the radio off. I just don't want that to happen. So I wanted to, but it's just the audio modulation was just a problem. So Congressman Gregory Meeks will be joining us. You know, I want to talk to you about the sequestration tomorrow and whether you are alarmed about it. Do you think the sky is falling? What is your understanding of it? And I don't want to get into no blame game. And it's important that we cut. We've got to cut the fat out of our bureaucracy. There's just no way around it. So our phone lines are open, 1-866-620-6620 and 803-733-5620. We want to take your calls. Coming up in the second half hour, Thomas Harvey will be joining us to talk about programs announced for competition and awards to further love and forgiveness. So, hey, we're going to do some fun stuff today. Sort of getting away from the political beat in the last half hour to talk about love and forgiveness. Now, we all know something about love and forgiveness. We all know something about that. But listen, our phone lines are open. We encourage you to call in to be a part of today's broadcast. Like we said, that physical cliff, not that physical cliff, but not the physical cliff, but the sequestration will hit tomorrow. There's no turning around, no changing it. There's no way around it. You know, I don't know if you followed what's going on with college graduates in this country and what is happening to college graduates from who are graduating. I mean, 60% of them cannot find jobs. And one of the reasons they cannot find jobs is because of their liberal arts education. They're not taking the kind of courses that can prepare them for where the jobs are going in the future. I don't have anything against liberal arts, but let me tell you, it's going to take more than a liberal arts education in this day and age that we find ourselves in. And so I'm just wondering, why is it that young people can convince themselves to go off to school and engage themselves in courses after making such a substantial investment in their education, and yet they can take courses that are sort of meaningless for the future of the job market? It's just really meaningless. I mean, I wonder sometimes who's advising them. Are they trying to take the easy way out? Because there is no easy way out. There's no easy way out from education. You have got to buckle down and you've got to study. And let me tell you, when I was in school, I took the long, hard route. Absolutely. That's the route I wanted to take. Because I don't know if you've been following this Georgetown University Center on Education and the Workforce. They conducted this analysis on government education data that found that people are much likely to get a job out of college if they choose a major with a clear career path such as business. Business is a clear path for finding a job. And so they also stand to make a lot more money if they choose a math or science major over liberal arts. Unless students, and I emphasize this, unless students get a significant amount of work experience outside their liberal arts major, liberal arts degrees do not confer any marketable skills. Congressman Meeks, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Good being with you, Armstrong.
How did your POTUS interview go, man?
It was good. We talked, of course, about sequestration and the upcoming situation with continuing resolution and how it affects New York, or how it can affect New York, and where do we think we're headed from here.
Talk to our audience about the impact tomorrow, and you say there are bigger challenges on the horizon. Congressman Gregory Meeks from New York is joining us. Go ahead, Congressman Meeks.
Well, I think that, you're not going to see anything happening specifically tomorrow, except we're not going to have an agreement. What happens is, as there's no agreement, and if we don't come to an agreement, and the automatic cuts take place, then you'll find various agencies and various institutions that have to make some changes in order to make budget. Like my office, for example. I put my staff on notice, because even members of Congress and our staffs are all subject to the sequestration, that if that happens and we don't have a resolution by the end of the month, then I'm going to I have a choice of either furloughing individuals for a week or two, or reducing salaries. I mean, it's just the only way that we'll be able to make it. So you take that on a much larger scale, and you put it into someone like air traffic controllers, for example, and I utilize New York as an example, where you have This airspace with Kennedy Airport, LaGuardia Airport, Newark Airport, all sharing the same airspace. You take any of those air controllers away, then that means less flights can come in and out, backing up and delaying flights and causing a system-wide backup. And so you'll get those kind of inconveniences, I think, first within the next week or two. And then as you go along, like I'm doing in my office, you could have states and cities, and this is why you hear governors, I think, both Democratic and Republican governors, quite concerned about sequestration. Because if they have to, do any more cuts that they've already made, then they have to start laying off other key people like police officers and firefighters and teachers. And that's on top of, what we don't talk about often. We have gained some jobs in the private sector, but we've lost 600,000 jobs since 2009 in the public sector. And that has driven Democrats and Republican mayors and governors to their wits' end, where they're really, trying to figure out how to make it. And we've got to have some certainty. And so that's where we are, in my estimation.
So you actually, do you think this could have been avoided? Is it necessary? Can some good come from it? And does it also mean that we, the people, should get our financial house in order? Congressman Gregory Meeks from New York, we're going to come back. A few more brief comments from him because we know he's on a busy schedule. I'm Armstrong Williams. Don't go away.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
So, Congressman, could this be something that is good in the long run if we learn from it wisely?
Well, I think that what my hope is, Armstrong, really is this. I think that, is politics, and this, of course it is. You have both to the left and to the right. You have individuals who have districts. I have a district that would tell me not to compromise, and I'm sure that there's a number of districts of those who are on the polar opposite of ours. Their districts tell them not to compromise. Well, it takes us to both of us on the left and the right to make sacrifices, and these are relatively safe Democratic seats and relatively safe Republican seats. We've got to make some sacrifices for the good of the country, which, is hard to come by, and because generally all politics, boil down to locals, and if we don't, the truth of the matter is then my hope rests that the Senate will come together because they don't have a small district in which to look at. They have larger. They have the entire states, and they can bring something because where the real breakdown generally comes in is with the House, and we can have some compromise. And I think that's what the ultimate goal is here, that we've got to make sure there's some compromise. I know I'm not going to get everything I want, but no one's going to get everything they want in any deal, and that's been the history of our country. And I think that if you listen to the language, we all are saying something similar, that we believe that we got to reduce spending, that we've got to reduce the debt that we're in, and where we have some differences of opinion, and it is how do we get there? What do we do? We believe that it has to be cuts, but not just cuts, that there has to be additional revenue contained therein too. And that's where we are. So, I still believe we are in the greatest country that this planet has ever seen. We faced a lot of turmoil and problems before, and we always, it may be messy at times, it may be rough at times, we may be disappointed at times, but we've always found a way to turn it around and get back on our feet and move forward, and I think that ultimately that's going to happen here.
How can we, the people, help our elected officials in this process? What is it that we need to do to make sure we understand that the government just cannot take care and provide, and it has done in the past? It is changing.
Well, I think that everyone has to have their voice by calling and speaking to your elected officials. That's what how you get your choices, and how do you get your voices heard and made it heard, and what we're looking at, and I think though how we accomplish this, it's going to be more than one viewpoint. I wish that one of the hardest things for me to learn initially when I became an elected official, you come and you make a decision, and you think that everybody's going to love the decision that you make, but you find out that invariably any decision that you make, somebody's going to disagree with it. So all you can do as an elected official, to be quite honest with you, is do what you believe is the right thing to do on behalf of the people that you represent. And if the people or the numbers of individuals who you represent don't agree with you, then they will let you know by their letters and their phone calls and at the ballot box. But it's the greatest system. It's not the best system. It's not a perfect system, but it's the best system that I know of, and it's traveling all over the place. And I don't think that it's going to come to an end. And I think that what the key is to this system to make it work, but also brings gets to government into control, as well as the kind of revenue that's necessary is compromise, and that's still the bottom line here.
We're going to take one call and let the congressman go. Alan, you have a quick comment. You're on with Congressman Gregory Meeks. Go ahead.
Great. Greetings, Mr. Armstrong, and to your guests.
Greetings.
Yes, greetings.
Well, Armstrong, I call in often, and I usually lean to the left side of things. But looking at the sequester, is it not a good thing? I usually say I don't like having a bunch of bills or a bunch of items wrapped up into one bill. It seems like we have the opportunity to go line by line and actually try to take care of some things.
Well, I think that's part of the idea is, when you do cuts, you want to be able to go line by line and make cuts that are smart and that you can manage, as opposed to just sticking a sledgehammer and just do the cuts the way the sequester is saying it has to be done. Remember, when the sequester came about, everybody I spoke with anyway, just thought that they were so drastic measures that we would never allow it to happen. And here we are, where there's drastic measures, and they thought that it would compel us to do what I've been talking about all along, compromise and work together. Because it didn't seem as though that we were doing it on our own, and so a drastic bill like this would compel us to do it. Unfortunately, we have not. But the key to our government working is compromise.
Alan, thank you for calling. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us on such short notice. We appreciate what you do. I have tremendous respect and admiration for you. And I think it's time for the American people to realize it doesn't matter what my politics or my views are, that you and I can come together, because one thing we have in common is that we love this country, and we've got to do something that is in the best interest of we the people, especially not just the middle class, but the lower class that seems to have been forgotten in this equation.
You're absolutely right, and that's why you're my friend. You understand, and we talk good. The education is important. I was even listening to you during the commercial breaks, some of the advertisements you had on, especially about STEM programs and financial literacy. That's what we need, and that's something that we can all agree upon, because that makes America a stronger place.
Congressman, all the best. Thank you for joining us.
Good being with you.
Yes. Yes, this is the Armstrong Williams Show. I know our guest, Thomas Harvey, is joining us. Thomas, are you on the line? No, I guess he's not. I just assumed I was cutting into my 4:30 guest time, but I guess not. But anyhow, Alan, did you drop? Yes, Alan is gone. So that was Congressman. Listen, this is the new Armstrong Williams Show. We're going to hear from both sides. All we care about is bringing people on who is the caller. Is guest on the line? He tried to call and couldn't get in? Well, tell him to call back Nancy. Nancy said he called and couldn't get in. He's now on the line. Hello, Thomas.
Hello, this is Thomas Harvey.
Man, you got to be aggressive. If the line is busy, you just got to keep calling, brother.
I thought I got through right away. I've been listening to Kenny G and Frank Sinatra while I'm waiting.
Oh, you did get in. So you've been on.
I've been on for 5 minutes.
Listen, Jamal. Okay. Well, listen, it wouldn't have mattered. I was talking to Congressman Meeks, so it wouldn't have mattered. I find it very difficult. Look, let me get down to the business. You're the director of a nonprofit professional development at the Mendoza School of Business, Notre Dame University. I want you to talk about the award and the online voting process and the efforts of the Fetzer Institute, which you are an advisor, and then talk about these programs, the competitions for the awards, because what we want to talk about is furthering love and forgiveness. Welcome to the broadcast.
Okay, thank you very much, Armstrong. I'll start by just telling a little story, because I'm relatively new to this whole Fetzer Institute. But John Fetzer died in his 90s about 12, 13 years ago. He made millions of dollars in the early days of radio. He never had children, but he was obsessed with the need for people to realize the power of love and forgiveness, not just in their personal lives, but in the way we act within organizations. And he felt that the media was so slanted so often with the stories of violence, as if that's what news is all about, that he left his whole fortune, $410 million, to promote awareness of the power of love and forgiveness. It's an operational institute, which means it doesn't take proposals, but it decides things it wants to do and then sets about doing it. 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, it was in 2010, they recruited a new executive director, and the whole institute took on a cause of dividing human activity in 16 areas of interest: business, sports, law, nonprofits, government. There's some overlap in them, but nonetheless, they recruited 10 to 16 people on each one of them, drawn from all over the world, and did an unprecedented thing. They said, we're going to give you $1 million, $500,000 a year for 2 years. We want you to look within these areas of human activity and find out where there's dramatic examples, templates, of how people are organizing to create this sense of love and awareness and to empower communities to embrace it more easily. I have been the co-chair of the nonprofit one, called in the more international term, Non-Governmental Organization Advisory Council. When we gave most of our money away we decided to take a chance and use social media and give an award to what people would think would be the best nonprofit that really exemplifies this commitment to love and forgiveness. And we had no idea where it would go. We just picked $25,000 for an American organization, $25,000 for an international, and then we put a cosmetic $5,000 on there to reward people that would vote. Well, we got over 500 inquiries. We got over 200 actual proposals, and today is the last day for voting. People can still do so on www.tellusworld.org. We've had almost 30,000 votes.
Hold there for us. Hold there. We're going to a break. We're coming back to our very special guest, Love and Forgiveness, Thomas Harvey, Director of Nonprofit Professional Development at the Mendoza School of Business, Notre Dame University. We'll be back. Hi, this is Armstrong Williams. Just like the Affordable Care Act seeks to ensure people with public or private coverage can find high-quality health care, AAA911health.com offers consumers you with access to better information, quality care, and big-time savings on your health care. Yes, big time. AAA911health.com offers a 90-day money-back guarantee. That's right. If AAA911health.com haven't saved you money, guess what? They will pay you back in full your membership with no questions asked. Just tell them Armstrong Williams sent you to AAA911health.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the broadcast. We're so honored to have Thomas Harvey joining us. Thomas, please continue about love and forgiveness, and our phone lines are open.
Okay, Armstrong, I had just gotten to the point where I mentioned with a relatively small investment of just $55,000, we had no idea we'd get proposals from 65 nations. Naturally, when you're only given a prize of $25,000, a lot of the large humanitarian groups didn't apply, which in a sense even made it nicer because we're hearing these anecdotes of just people organizing because they hear. Let me give you an example. A family that lives in Portland hears a statistic that a child born in Uganda is 15 times more likely to be dead by the age of 5 than if that child were born in a developed country. Instead of just lamenting it, they organized friends into an NGO, gathered simple literature on teaching people how to garden. Uganda is one of the most fertile countries in the world. It's right on the equator. They packaged seeds and used a distribution system of health clinics where the children were being brought for malnutrition. And the increase in nutrition has been measurable in the last 4 years. I mean, just little things like that, anecdotally told, that came to over 200 entries, 65 countries, 23 states, and again, 55,000 investment. And what a return to discover all this kind of activity that people are undertaking because they care.
How can we get more people involved?
Well, Fetzer has a lot of programs that encourage this because that is their mission to get people involved. So I would recommend that people would go to their website too, just Fetzer.org. But if they want to turn to these stories, they can discover the people. And there are 2 different websites I'd guide them to. I already mentioned the www.tellusworld.org, but we also have the contest as it was published. What in the world are you doing? And that, too, is a website that people can turn to. And in doing so, they will discover the many websites. And if they find something that's on nutrition that plays to them, or a guy that taught at San Quentin and realized low self-esteem was one of the causes of recidivism when people got out, so they put together this program of people love and forgiving themselves. It's called Insight Out, and it's been highly effective in reducing recidivism. Began with a guy who was involved at San Quentin prison. So my first thing would be to go Tell Us World. They can still have time to vote if they choose to, but they can also just learn what aligns with their passion. What might they be interested in? And if it's not there, just find that as a tickler to look in their own community to see if there's something they may want to be involved with.
You know, how do children early on learn this compassion? And how do they, sometimes people confuse what love and forgiveness is. Sometimes it's attached to something. How do you love and forgive in the purest way? And how do you teach it and reinforce it?
Well, you know, when I first heard of this mission, I was saying, in a sense, that's like package fog. You know, how do I handle these virtues that we use every day, but oftentimes don't even realize we're being tested in them? One of the other little projects our NGO took was we took $50,000 and convened almost 20 people who had a family member go through 9/11 or the bombing of the Oklahoma Federal Building, or a set of parents whose teenage daughter come home early one day and a burglar was in the house and killed her. It was just in Chicago last year. We got these people together to tell their stories to each other and to see if they had some common denominator. And all of them had to go through suffering to get past whatever the event was that had so shaken their lives. But what was fascinating, they said they never would have been free if they hadn't discovered the need for forgiveness. Not necessarily because of the perpetrator, but because they themselves would not be freed and they would be trapped in the event of that day until they got to a comfort level. One person had become an alcoholic for about 2 years before he discovered that. Now he just came back from a country in Asia where he spoke to the parliament, getting them to vote against capital punishment. I mean, just incredible stories come out. That's not exactly the contest, but it's a lot of the same kind of people. They give you an extreme view. I mean, most of us, thank God, will never go through some kind of a trauma like that. But their voices have so much credibility because they've been there, they've done it. It's not just a question.
But what about people who have been falsely accused, ripped off, Ponzi schemes, just the worst of worst situations? How do you get them back to finding that love and forgiveness?
I think part of it is to be part of a network like we created in Chicago, where other people say, it is not you. Don't blame yourself. Find those reinforcing messages that begin to empower. The one man who is on this is I'll just give his first name, Azim. He came from Kenya. His child of 18 was a pizza deliverer in Los Angeles, and a young Hispanic who was going through a rite of initiation into a gang killed him. He not only lost his son, but he eventually has checked in with the prison and got to know the family of the child who killed his, and now he's trying to work toward his probation. That sense of he realized that both of those kids had something that was missing and was hurtful, and instead of writing the one off and just saying, okay, you did something horrible, he's still trying to reach out and find that forgiveness. I mean, it's real hard for some of us to see how you can do that, but these people are doing it.
You know, this is actually empowering, because you're not truly free until you can find the capacity to forgive and to let go. And also, not only forgive your enemy, but embrace that enemy, right?
Eventually. And you're going to need a lot of support along the way. And many of these people have formed organizations because that's where they get the reinforcement, by getting other people who have shared experiences. And out of those shared experiences, they also have shared learning and wisdom.
How does your organization get involved in the community to make the community part of this?
I actually had a history of working in human services for the last 40 years. Notre Dame brought me in because they're one of the few business schools in the country that actually have an MBA just for people that want to work in nonprofits. So I sort of had a history of involvement, and a colleague of a colleague told about this Fetzer initiative, and somebody at Fetzer reached out and asked if I would be involved, so I helped organize the NGO group. But as I said, every day has been a humbling experience because of the great opportunities it's brought into my life.
Do you think the country is becoming more compassionate, more forgiving, or do you think the world is hardening?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, if you look back through the centuries, they probably said the same thing from generation to generation. The reason I love this Fetzer project is most of us, as I mentioned earlier, know what the word love means and our need for it, or forgiveness, when we do things that are stupid and want our parents, even as a child, to find a way to let us go. But when it comes to our public lives, when you see the kind of things that happened recently in Connecticut, there is a real despair. Like, how can humanity be so trivialized? And it's at this level, in contrast to all the news. There was an article on the front page of the South Bend Tribune Sunday a week ago, and it was just a little factoid. It said a typical child in the United States watching TV for a normal block of time, I don't know what that is, in the course of a year will witness 15,000 killings. I mean, there's a constant sense of bombardment. So what I love about this Fetzer movement is there's still another power in the world. We don't have to let that be the last chapter. You know, as a Christian believer, I don't want Calvary to be the end of the story. I want resurrection to be the end of the story.
But we also have to acknowledge the fact that the deepest wounds can destroy countries, ravage families, and damage generations to come. I mean, look at terrorism.
Absolutely.
Let's look at it.
Yeah. I mean, one of these little projects that I like was a small town in Connecticut, not connected with a religious feast like Hanukkah or Christmas, but they did a luminaria, and they're going to do it one day a year in the darkest of the night, and everybody lights a candle to dispel the darkness. It costs about $80,000 to do, and it generates over $300,000. So in order to say, okay, we used a candle to dispel the darkness, but for a lot of people, there's other issues than darkness. And so they take the entire $300,000 they make each year and invest it in the people who are most vulnerable in that community, the homeless, the hungry, and they try to involve them, not just getting relief in those basic areas, but to realize they belong to a town that cares about them. I mean, you read about things like this and you just say, yeah, I wish that were my town, and I hope it will be.
But that town just did not become that. It was people like you and others that you know that made it possible. How can someone get more information about your organization?
Well, as I said, the first one, I would go to tellusworld.org. But as somebody that has worked in the nonprofit sector, I would guide them to the Fetzer Institute. And if anybody wants any follow-up with me here at the University of Notre Dame, I really would welcome it. They can Google me. It's Thomas J. Harvey. I'm at the Mendoza College of Business. And if there is a way, because we educate a lot of people in nonprofits all over the country, I'll be glad to try to connect them to at least some of our graduates who are already working in a field that they may be interested in.
And how can someone contribute if they choose to?
Oh, they can. I mean, all those websites are listed. I don't want to particularly hold up one because that wasn't our purpose. Our purpose is just to get these stories out there so that people can be empowered. I like that word you used earlier, to realize this isn't something I just have to witness. This is something that I can make my life.
Thank you so much for joining us. I wish you well. And thank you for what you do and the example and how you empower others. And we really and truly wish you well. And hopefully we can have you back again.
Thanks, Armstrong. I really appreciate being on.
It's our pleasure. I want to thank all of you for joining us today, and our guest, Horace Cooper. And a very special thank you to Congressman Gregory Meeks from New York, and put it in perspective to Mara Sequester. Thank you so much for joining us. And Jamal, all the best, man. You're a tremendous producer. We appreciate you in WGCB 620 AM. Take care, everybody.